Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of jakestick.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. If you're watching this video on our YouTube channel, please give us a thumbs up and please subscribe. If you're listening to this on our audio platform, please give us a 5-star review and download this episode and many more episodes to come. I am thrilled to welcome this hip hop artist as of this recording. He has over 9,400 YouTube subscribers, and he has over 22,000 Instagram followers. And he's also the host of the popular Dinner and Place. So please help me welcome Lyrics Born to the podcast.
Hey, hello everybody. Hello, Jake. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome, Lyrics. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with me today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, so let's get started. So when did you get interested in music, and how did that passion evolve and desire to pursue a career in the entertainment industry?
I think I was born in Tokyo, and then we moved here when I was about, I don't know, 2 or 3. But my passion for music really didn't start until I moved from Tokyo to Salt Lake City, then to Berkeley, California, when in the second grade, and that's when I heard hip hop for the very first time, and I was instantly hooked. It just changed my life instantly, and I knew from that very moment that that is what I wanted to do with my life. I think I always knew I wanted to be an artist, but it wasn't until even as a really, really young child, I knew I wanted to be an artist, but it wasn't until that moment that I knew what kind of artist I wanted to be. So
I gotta say, that's incredible. That must have been a huge culture shock from going to Japan to Salt Lake City to Berkeley, California. Wow.
yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, I don't really remember Japan because I was so young, but I definitely remember Salt Lake City. And I have a lot of great memories even as a child of Salt Lake City. But when I moved to Berkeley, I definitely felt more of a cultural connection as soon as I arrived, for sure.
And that's incredible. So I gotta say, you've been showing us a lot of your cultural connections. In addition to your working industry, you also created the popular viral series, Dinner and Place. So could you describe its origin story to my audience?
Absolutely. So during the pandemic, much like the rest of us, I was sitting at home bored and isolated. And, my lifestyle was such that previously, for the past 20 years, I'd probably done 100 tour dates a year and on the go constantly in studios, out of studios, traveling. And I always ate out. I just didn't have the time really to get in the kitchen and get busy. But once the pandemic started, just like everybody else, I was forced to stay home. I was forced to cook, and it really allowed me to reconnect with um, a lot of my cultural memories and a lot of my history, my personal history, and it allowed me to reconnect with a passion of mine that maybe I had taken for granted over the years and was underutilized. One of my talents that was underutilized because I was on the go so much. And so I think one day I was just in the kitchen with my iPhone, and I think the first thing we were making, I think, I just, let's make some bucatini with clams. And I just recorded the whole thing on Instagram stories, like completely live without edits or anything. And I did this narration along with it. And, people really had no choice but to sit there and watch me cook and eat because they were home also. So I had this captive audience, so to speak. Nobody really could go anywhere. I didn't have to compete with anybody else, or I didn't have to compete with whatever other leisure activities you may have had, and So it was kind of a great time. You know, it was a really special time amidst this sort of ball of chaos and confusion that we were living in. And then after I shot that and we posted it, it was an instant hit with my followers, you know, and people were just responding back like, "When's the next one? When's the next one? When's the next?" I'm like, "What next one? There is no next one." You know, I was bored as hell, just shooting when I'm could. Anyway, so I did a next one, and then I did a next one, and then I did a next one, and suddenly it started to take shape. But then what I started to realize is that I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours in the kitchen. You know, as much as I love cooking and as much as I love eating with my family and creating these dishes, I don't want to spend hours in the kitchen. And so we were able to sort of refine it to where it is now, where we do Asian fusion, a lot of which draws upon my personal history, my cultural history. My father is Japanese and my mother is Jewish and Italian. And so we do a lot of hybrid recipes. I mean, that's really all we do. And we try to keep it as healthy as possible, but and equally as important to everything to everything I just said, we try to keep it to 60 minutes or less, top to bottom, because if you're like me, you're, you know, working guy, you may also be a working parent, and nobody has the time or desire to spend 6 hours in the kitchen, you know, to make a meal. So that's what it is. We do, um, you know, if I had to really encapsulate it, I would say that we do cross-cultural Asian fusion in less than an hour.
And I gotta say, you definitely delivered as someone who's 100% Jewish. Your dishes look amazing.
Thank you.
I was salivating on some of those dishes, and we'll get to those dishes in a second because I picked out several ones. But however, for season 4, you brought in some big guns to help you out. You got a plethora of culinary icons such as Chris Constantino, JL Jupiter, Nelson German, and Michael Twitty. So what were some of the lessons that you learned from them as these chefs came into your kitchen, and how did they help you grow as a cook?
I mean, you know, people know I never went to culinary school. I'm not. I I'm totally self-taught, and you know, I think a lot of time, and I love this part. This is what I love about Dinner and Place is that that's the whole point. The whole point is that it's not for me to show you how skilled I am, and you know, I'm not like throwing knives up behind my back or anything like that. It's the point is to show you that you can make healthy, delicious, incredible food in a very short period of time for yourself and your family. And so that's it. You know, I mean, I don't really trip off technique. You know, I'm sure that I'm doing everything wrong. You know what I mean? And but that's the beauty of season 4, being able to have these incredible guests that you just named. I'm learning from the best on the job on my show. I mean, it's like such an amazing perk to sit there and be schooled by the legends. You know what I mean? And when you're talking to somebody like Chef Twitty, who's such a historian, you know, who can just break everything down. I mean, we had a off camera, we had a half an hour conversation, 45-minute conversation about lemongrass. You know what I mean? Like we can really geek out, you know, and talk about the diaspora, you know, and it's just really awesome to see all these like things being tied in to food, you know, and to really watch Cosentino go to work. Wow. You know, just sitting there watching him chop right next to me, you know, he's just got the most awesome touch. And so does Chef Nelson. I mean, and these are very down to earth, humble, generous guys that just want to feed people. You know what I mean? And so it's the best job in the world, man. And the proof is in the dish. I mean, it's everything we make. I stand on 1,000%. It is everything we make is so delicious, and I will have you know that up until this moment, everything that we make, it's not just me cooking it on cam. It's not just me preparing it on camera. After it's done, I sit there and I eat that with my family. That is actually our meal for the night. That is our dinner.
And I gotta say, your family is so lucky to have a meal not just cooked by you, by all those incredible chefs. Like to have Chef Costantino. We gotta talk about the Japanese convenience store three egg salad sandwich. I was in awe. The combination of salmon roe plus both duck and chicken eggs.
Yes, yes, and the gribbiness. I mean, it was amazing. It was amazing. And this is how I'll tell you. I'll give you a little peek into the process. I mean, this is pretty much how it works. I spoke with each of the chefs weeks prior to, and we would develop the recipes over the phone. And they were all pretty much briefed on what the theme of the show is. And with Chef Cosentino, he says, well, what do you think about an egg salad sandwich, the kind you would find at a Japanese convenience store? I was like, yes. Okay, but how can we make it a little bit more X, Y, and Z? And that's when, okay, what if we use duck eggs instead, or in addition to? And then, just to tie in all the sort of cultural elements. Okay, what if we tied in the let's use Kewpie mayonnaise, and then let's use the salmon eggs. There's another egg, so now we got 3 eggs. And he's like, okay, let's use white bread. I'm like, totally, let's use white bread. And then I was like, okay, well, what other kind of cultural tie-ins can we do? And he was like, let's do chicken skin gribbiness. I was like, oh my god. And just as we were talking, we were creating the recipe on the phone. But let me tell you, that conversation about the recipe was only about 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, once the ideas started flowing, it was seamless. It was so easy. And that's pretty much representative of all the conversations that I had with each chef, from Chef Nelson to Chef Gil from Senor Sisig. Like, we would just start throwing ideas at each other, like throwing like virtual ingredients at each other. And then with some of the chefs, like with Chef Nelson and with Chef Gil, they were generous enough for me to come into their restaurants, and we demoed the recipes together ahead of time. And that was amazing. Just for them to allow me into their professional space, their temples, and do that. And for the recipes for the dishes that you see me doing by myself on Dinner and Place, same thing. I demoed them at home first, sometimes more than once or twice, because I again, it has to be good. It has to be good, and I have to make sure that I'm delivering. So it's been amazing, man. It's been amazing. Season 4 has been crazy. Just to see it go from myself, my son, my wife in my own kitchen with an iPhone to a full production crew, and cameras and a kitchen and guests. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
I gotta say, it is amazing. Another dish I really enjoyed was the everything, because I'm a huge bagel nerd and a sushi lover. So putting those two together with the everything bagel sushi roll, but however, you took a vegan twist on it, which I did not expect, especially vegan cream cheese and vegan smoked salmon. How did you find those ingredients?
It was delicious, and it's easier than you think. That's another part about Dinner and Place that's really important, is that the ingredients, they have to be sourceable. I'm not trying to make food that you look at. I'm trying to make food that you can actually source and eat, So that's another one of um the special things I would say about Dinner Place is that everything that we make is sourceable. Like you can pretty much go. I mean, it may not be at every store, but you can find these ingredients in your city for the most part. So that's one of the things that's really important to me is we have to be able to make it in an hour or less. But in order to be able to make it, you have to be able to buy all the ingredients. So that's a really important part of Dinner Place. And fortunately, I really do believe that there's a huge future in plant-based food and plant-based cooking, and it seems to be where a lot of the exciting developments are right now in food. And so I do try to incorporate a lot of plant-based dishes in Dinner Place because and not only that, it's fun to work with. And I think it just exposes not only myself, but it exposes the audience to a whole nother world of cooking.
Absolutely. That is just incredible. Another dish I was just want to talk to you about are something I got on before we got on a call. I was rewatching the Japanese potato latkes.
Yes. Yeah. I think we did that with I think that was either season 2 or season 3. I think we did that around Hanukkah. We shredded up some was it Murasaki sweet potatoes? I think it was
Yes, that was it.
Japanese.
That was it. That was it.
That it was Japanese sweet potatoes, and then we did the applesauce with Fuji apples. And I think did we do a vegan sour cream on that
Vegan
one?
sour cream. Yes, you did. You did a vegan sour cream.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been Japanese my whole life, bro. So I mean, this is, it's nothing for me. It's easy for me. And it's a lot of fun, man. I mean, just to see people's reactions when they see it or they hear about it. And then when I see all the messages in the comments of, oh my God, we tried this, we made this at home, we did this, it was fantastic. What an amazing idea. That's what it's all about. I don't want to make food that you look at. I want to make food that you eat.
And that's incredible. So I want to go. One of the final dishes I want to touch upon is, and I hate that, and I apologize for butchering the name, but the Seagang ramen, which Senor Sejik and JL Jupiter. That was amazing. Who would have thought a combination of ramen and Filipino soup would be so delicious?
Yes, sinigang ramen. Yes, sinigang ramen. My wife is Filipina, and sinigang is like a Filipino staple. It's a delicious, like vinegary, tamarindy kind of soupy. Traditionally it's done with like pork or shrimp, but we did a vegetarian version. And Chef Gil was really the catalyst for that recipe from Senor Sisig. Fantastic chef and an incredible restaurant here in the Bay Area. And that is not on their menu. So we developed that. And he brought that when I called him up and I said, hey, do you want to do this with me on Dinner Place? And he said, okay, well, what do you think about what if we did like a sinigang ramen? I was like, oh my God, hell yes, let's do it. And then again, we sort of collabed on what the final ingredients would be, just so that it was on brand with Dinner Place. And whoo, I mean, I wish people could be here in the kitchen with me. I think that's one of the things that I'm so excited about. We're doing this pop-up with Chef Nelson at his restaurant Alamar the day after tomorrow. We're going to do one of the Dinner Place dishes. And I wish everybody could taste this. It's just so amazing. And I love it's like I tell people, I've never had a shitty conversation over good food. You know what I mean? It just doesn't happen. And I think people react to food in a way that I've been a musician my whole life that I don't even see people reacting to music in the same way.
Food is definitely one of my favorite things, and I definitely and think that you have potential, I think, to see, like, have you thought about having conversations like competing, like to bring your flavor of dinner and place onto like a chop or a tournament of champions or guys grocery game or any Netflix show? Have you thought about that?
I have not, but thank you. That I have not. That's the first time anybody's actually brought that up. Thank you. Let me give that some thought. We'd win. I know we'd win because nobody's doing what we're doing. But I have never thought about that. So let me talk to the team about that. That's really interesting. Thank you for floating that idea. That's pretty cool.
You're so welcome because I'm a huge fan of food competition shows. I do while I meal prep, and I love watching those shows. I grew up watching those shows, and it's my favorite. So, I would definitely think of with all the stuff after seeing what stuff dinner place. I think you would be really cool with Food Network or with Netflix.
Thank you. Yes. I mean, that ultimately, that's where we are going to land. I mean, we're doing incredibly well right now on all my platforms. I think we're at almost 1 million views across all platforms. So I couldn't have asked for a better season. It's been like a dream come true for me. It really is.
Alrighty, I know that you're thinking about season 5. Have you thought about which professionals that you want to bring on to showcase their food and showcase how they can tackle what dinner and place is about? Have you thought about that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm always thinking about that. I'm always thinking about that. We have a very long list right now. Yeah, we have a very long list.
I cannot wait to see that list, and hopefully it becomes in those people come into fruition, and then you hopefully season 5 you have a smorgasbord of people coming in.
Thank you. Thank you, Jake.
All right. So, how has social media, like, are your favorite social media platforms that you like to interact with your fans on?
So my YouTube channel it's the Lyrics Born YouTube channel. That's where you can catch the short and long form versions of Dinner and Place. At Lyrics Born on Instagram and Twitter and X on Instagram and X and now Threads. And Lyrics Born on Facebook. You can catch me in all those platforms.
Absolutely. So, second to last question. Are you ready? Why should my audience check out Dinner and Place?
Because it's fucking incredible and it tastes great and it will make your life better, baby.
I like that answer. I like that answer. So, one more time, where can my audience check out Dinner and Place and check out your social media?
You can check out Dinner and Place on my YouTube channel. That's the Lyrics Born YouTube channel for long form and short form of Dinner and Place. You can also check out Dinner and Place on Instagram, X, and Threads at Lyrics Born, and then also on the Lyrics Born Facebook page.
Awesome. So, guys, have you missed an episode of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast? Visit our channels on Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, Spotify, and Spreaker. Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOB ELYACHAR. Now, are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, now on TikTok, X, and YouTube. Just type in Jacob Elyachar, JACOBELYACHAR. And if you want to find out more information about more interviews and more my take on what's going on with America's Got Talent and The Masked Singer, head to jakes-take.com. Once again, jakes-take.com. Lyrics Born, I am so thrilled that you took time to go to talk with me. Dinner and Place is phenomenal. I cannot wait for season 5.
Thank you so much, Jake. I appreciate it.
Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a great one, everybody. Goodbye.